Greetings viewers, you clicked the video link, you already know what we're here for. Today we are looking at the Wurkkos HD03 clip-on magnetic light. Before I go any further, I will let you know that this light was provided to me for free by the manufacturer. They reached out to me, they asked if I would like to make a video on it, and they sent it to me free of charge. That doesn't mean that I'm going to tout this as the greatest thing ever. We're going to kind of do like we normally do. We'll do an unboxing, we'll kind of go over all the features, and then we'll do a little bit of testing with it. And then I'll allow you to make your own decisions on what you think about it. Now, there also should be a link at the bottom of the video that if you follow that link, it'll take you right to where you can buy the light. Let's go ahead and jump into it. First thing we're going to do is we're going to look at all of the things on the outside of the packaging, and then we're going to open it up and see what comes inside. So this is the front. I'm not sure, this thing is offered in 3 different colors. So we've got green, which is pictured here. There's also orange and blue. I would assume that the package art here would include that as well, but it does specifically state it on the side. Also, just says what color it is, the light, the temperature range for the light, and then this one is made in China if that's an issue for you. There's also a QR code here if you want to scan that so you can get some information on it. Here's all the numerical information as far as lumens when it comes to each of the different modes. So we do have a spotlight and a floodlight mode. We've got moonlight, low, medium, high, and turbo settings. This is IPX6 rated waterproof, 1.5 meter drop. It does have a strobe and SOS beacon. There's all the other information here. It uses a charging Type-C. You can read all this for yourself. You can pause the video if you'd like. And then again, just some more basic information along the other side. That does have a multi-RGB mode, so we'll be checking that out. The bottom just has the Amazon sticker on it, and that's it. So let's go ahead and peel this thing open and see what we get. I have not even opened this yet, so I'm doing that here with you. Nothing in there. Obviously, we're going to take a look at the light, so we'll set that aside for now. Looks like we get a kind of a little two little lanyard options here. So we've got kind of a bigger hinged keychain option there, and then a little bit of a smaller looped one. We've got our USB-C to USB-C cord, nothing special there. And then we've got our instruction manual, which is apparently a very large fold-out. It's going to go over all your features and settings, all the different modes, everything you're going to need to do to push the button. We'll kind of go over that so you won't have to read this yourself. And it looks like it's in multiple languages. So that's good to know. Get that out of here. Just a little plastic tray. And then our light. This thing is very light. Let's go ahead and throw it on the scale while we're sitting here. The packaging says it's only 49 grams, so let's see what it actually says that it is. 1.7 ounces, or 4.9 grams. Look at that. No false advertising there. So it's got this. I like this nice anodized green color. I've mentioned before, green is my favorite color, so I'm glad that that's the one that they sent me. I didn't get the blue or orange, but again, it doesn't really matter. That's all personal preference. So let's go ahead and get this thing charged up with the cord that they provided us. It does have a little rubber flappy door here. So let's go ahead and plug this in, get it charged up so we can start testing it. I'm not really sure it's showing up on the video. You might be able to see that. It does light up red here as it's plugged in now and charging. So we're going to let that sit. This, I'm assuming, should turn green once it's done. And it's been about an hour. As you can see, the light turned green as suspected. All right, so now we've had a chance to look at the packaging itself, what comes in the box. We've charged up the light. I've had a couple days to play with this thing and kind of mess with all the different features, and I guess it's time to go ahead and talk about this little guy. So right off the bat, like I said, this was given to me for free, but that does not mean that I'm going to tout it as the best light ever. I'm going to tell you all the positives, all the things I think maybe negatives or could be improved or unnecessary. And I want to be completely honest with you because I wouldn't want you to go out and buy this thing because I told you to and then it's a piece of crap and doesn't work for you because I lied to you. So I would never do that. Anyway, this thing, again, like you saw, is very light. It's very tiny. It does have a pocket clip on it, which is nice. It does have rubber on the inside of both sides of the clip here. So it's not just some shiny piece of metal that's going to slide off anything you clip it to. It does actually grip very well. The spring tension on the clip itself is nice and definitely holds on anything you put it on. It does have a magnet inside the bottom portion only. I'm just assuming it's capped off by that rubber piece on the clip. It's kind of a little awkward at times depending on what you're magnetizing it to and how you're mounting it, because all the weight of the head of this light is on this side, on the opposite end of the magnet. So depending on what you magnetize it to, you stick it on there, the weight of it sometimes may cause it to spin over. Now, it doesn't really matter, depending on if you have it at a specific angle that you want it on to light up whatever project you're working with. You could have some issues there. So that was one thing that I noticed while I was messing with it. But again, the clip is very nice, and anything that you clip it to is going to work well. It will fit in between MOLLE webbing. If you have any gear, backpack straps, anything like that, it goes and fits in there perfectly, and because of its small size, it does stay out of the way and kind of close to the body, so that is a very nice feature. The anodized finish on this is very nice. I've kind of dropped this a couple times and banged it around, and so far, surprisingly, it hasn't gotten scratched up. It does operate with a single button, and there are a ton of features on this light. There's, quite honestly, a lot of features that I would probably never catch myself using. Also, because there is only one button, there is quite the system you have to learn in order to navigate through all the different settings and functions that the light has. And it could be very easy to get past the one that you want, so we'll go over that in a minute when we talk about the features. We saw the charging area. It does have the little rubber door that does kind of pivot and move out of the way, so that is kind of nice. Not a huge fan of those normally, but because it is kind of low profile, it's not like it's getting snagged and ripped open. Because the charging port is on top, this is IPX6 rated. It does not mean it's waterproof. That means that when they tested it, they subjected it to some high pressure water jets. So let's say you have this thing clipped on and you go on a ride at a water park and it gets splashed all over it. It should be fine, but it's not recommended to submerge it. Don't go swimming in the pool or the beach with it. Because that charging port is on top, if this somehow gets knocked open or out, it's completely exposed and water is going to naturally go down from the top onto it. So that's kind of not a great feature there. I would have liked to see it on the bottom maybe, or on the side somewhere away from the direct on the top. There is a switch on the side here. This does have a spotlight mode and a floodlight mode. If you look at the front of the light here, you'll notice that there is a single LED in the center, several lights arranged in a ring around it. So the ones that are around the outside are the ones that are used when it's in floodlight mode. The one in the center is the one that's used when it's in spotlight. It does have RGB. Those lights are behind that. You can't really see them directly looking at it, but once the RGB is activated, you can see it lighting up behind those. So it does have a little notch cutout in the top of the clip on the back here. It doesn't really have instructions regarding this, but from what I can tell, this little loop here is designed to feed through that hole, and then you loop that little hard plastic piece back through it. You can put a keychain ring on it. You can clip it onto something. It does come with this paracord kind of braided clip as well that you can clip through there if you want to attach that to something. You could put your keys on it. I will say that if you put anything kind of heavy, anything heavier than this, and again, you magnetize this to something, it's definitely not going to hold the weight, probably at all. That extra weight from the keys is going to fall. The magnet for this is basically just strong enough to hold the light. If you start adding extra stuff to it, it's not going to hold. So I would not overload this thing and then get mad that it's not working in the magnetic attachment mode. I would recommend, if you are putting this on some sort of MOLLE gear, you have a plate carrier, backpack strap, something, and you have it clipped in there, that you use some sort of lanyard to kind of keep it attached, just in the event that it does pop out. You don't want to lose this thing because it is light and small. You probably wouldn't even notice it. So having some sort of retention device to make sure that it stays secured to your gear is definitely a good idea. So I like that they added that little accessory hole there. I did kind of try this as a headlamp. It's not necessarily as good as one that would be stuck on a hat here and looking directly where your vision is the whole time. You do have to clip it like this on the bill. And if you leave the hat on normally, like a normal regular person would, the light's basically just shining in your face. So you do have to kind of tilt it back on your head, but it does work. I actually did that the other night while I was working on my truck, and it worked pretty well. You just have to kind of cock it back on your head to a kind of goofy angle that you wouldn't probably normally wear it at. All right, so we talked about all the physical features of this thing. Let's go ahead and talk about the modes and settings and various things that are available for this light. Like I said, it does operate using a single button. So there is a whole spread of like a flow chart here to get to all the various settings on this thing. As you can see, and you have to double press and triple press and hold, and it gets a little kind of confusing until you've played with this thing for a while and you get it down. You're not going to memorize it just by looking at it once. So this thing has several various settings. So even in spotlight or floodlight mode, we have a moonlight setting, which for both of those, it's only 1 lumen. I don't have a meter to test the lumens to make sure that these numbers are accurate, but they seem pretty on point with other flashlights that I have. that have the same lumen ratings. So just looking at spotlight mode, we have low at 20 lumens, medium at 110, high is 320, and turbo is 680. When we go to floodlight mode, low is 15, medium is 75, high is 150, and turbo is 320. So again, you're getting a lot less lumens in the floodlight mode, but you are having more of a wider area lit up versus that focused spotlight mode. So in order to access moonlight mode, again, you're going to pick which version you want. So the straight lines that are coming out are the spotlight, and then if we flip the switch down here, we get floodlight. So I've got it in spotlight mode right now, so that's going to be utilizing that center LED. I'm going to press and hold that power actuation button, and it goes into moonlight, and that works for both of these modes, spotlight or floodlight. So that's our 1 lumen light. In order to turn that off, I just click it once and it goes off. Next, in order to get it to change from the low, medium, high, and turbo, you have to press once and let go to turn it on. So that's going to be low mode. And then now I have to press and hold, and you'll see it kind of cycle through each one of the modes. And then it'll just continue to keep going. And whichever one you want it in, you stop when it gets there and you let go, and it'll stay in that mode. And then when I want to turn it off, I just click it to turn it off. Now, this light does not have a memory when it comes to the white light mode. So every single time you turn this on, it's going to go low, medium, high, turbo. You're going to have to keep cycling through it every single time. You can't just turn it off, and then when you kick it back on, it's on the same mode again. You have to cycle through every time in either floodlight or spotlight mode. Kind of a pain in the butt. And you also have to be kind of quick when you release to get it to go in that mode, because it doesn't stick around very long, as you saw when it cycles through. So you kind of have to know it's coming and then ambush it and stop. Now, depending on what setting you have it on, so let's say we have it on low. If I want to go from low to turbo, while the light is on, I'm going to double click, and it's going to automatically switch to turbo. And then if I single click, it'll go back out of turbo mode to whatever mode it was in. So then I can cycle up, double click to turbo, click once to get it to go back, click once to turn it off. It does have a lockout feature. From in the off position, I click this 3 times. It'll blink twice, and that kind of lets you know that it's locked out. So now if I press, it'll blink twice saying, hey, it's in lockout mode. In order to get the lockout mode off, I have to press it 3 times again. And then you see it'll turn on, and then I press it again and it turns off. This does have a strobe mode, so if I turn the light on, again, spotlight or floodlight, if I triple press while it's on, it goes into a strobe. And then I can just press once to get that to stop, and then once again to turn it off. So like I said, having this one button, you've got to really mess with this thing and kind of learn the features and what they do and where they lead to every time you press them. So both of those things apply again to spotlight or floodlight. All you're doing is you're getting a different lumen amount for each one of these modes, like you saw in the packaging. So the same thing, the double clicks, the triple clicks, all that stuff is exactly the same. It's just going to be either using the spotlight bulb or the floodlight. This does have an RGB mode and several other options with it. The RGB mode does have a memory, which is really nice, because the only real color I would see myself using is the red. So that's kind of where I've stopped it. When the light is off, if you double click, it goes into the RGB mode. So you can see I've got it on red. Now, this has a lot of different colors on here, and just like the light modes, it cycles pretty quickly. So in order to change it, if let's say I want to use something other than red, I'm going to press and hold this button, and I'm just going to let it cycle through all the colors so you guys can see it. All right, so you can see it's in red mode. I'm going to press and hold the power or the actuation button, and I'm just going to let it cycle through all the different colors so you guys can see what those are. And then back kind of towards red. So now I tried to stop it on red, I let go, and I got orange. The one other good thing about the color mode is, let's say I did that, oh man, I want to go back. I don't want to have to go forward all the way through the whole thing. If you let go and I press and hold again, it will now cycle backwards. So you can go back to the color that you want if you missed it. Oh, see, I missed it again. So I would recommend going further past it. Let go, press and hold, and then now I'm back on red. So that is kind of a tricky pain in the butt part because it goes so fast through those modes. But anyway, like I said, it does have a memory. So if I turn that off, I go do something, whatever I'm doing, oh, I need my red light again, and I double click, it's going to automatically go back to that same red color, which is really nice. I really like when lights have a memory to them. Now, once you're in this RGB mode, only thing that we can do other than, again, holding it and cycling through those colors, now we double click and we're going to cycle through each one of the available modes while it's in RGB. So I'm going to double click, and you're going to notice that it's in a red blinking. I'm going to double click again. And what this is going to do is it's going to blink a couple times red, blink a couple times blue. If you're in a law enforcement profession and you're standing on a perimeter somewhere, maybe you're in a foot pursuit, you're directing traffic at a crash, something, and you want to be a little bit more visible and identify yourself as your position, you can use that mode. Most people probably wouldn't need that for anything unless they're up to no good or wanting to cause some trouble. So I'm going to double click again. And then what it's going to do is it's going to automatically go to an RGB kind of cycle, and it just goes through all those same lights without having to press and hold the button to get the different colors to go. I'm going to double click again. It goes to a little rainbow mode, so if you're at a rave or something, I guess, or you're trying to keep your little one entertained, you can give it to them and let them look at the pretty colors. I'm going to double click again. It's got this weird swirling blue. Again, like I said, there's some features on here I really don't understand. Maybe some of you get what that is or why that would be needed. The longer you let it go, it's going to continue to spiral and cycle through all the colors. Like I said, I don't really know what that feature's for. Personally, I probably wouldn't use it. Maybe one of you guys would have a use for that, but I do not. Double click again. It's going to kind of pulse as it goes around. And then now we're on a breathing color pattern where it's switching instead of slowly cycling through each one. It's kind of pulsing and breathing. Going to double click again. And then now we're in a little swirling vortex. And then we're back to strobing in our blue and red. So then we press one time to get it to stop all that nonsense and go back to our standard locked in RGB color. And then that's it. So we press it one more time to turn it off. All right, so like I said, there's a lot of features in this light. The white light is very bright. It's still daytime outside, so I've got to wait till it gets dark out, and then I'm going to kind of go through all the modes like I did in my previous flashlight reviews, and we're going to do an inside view of what the different brightness levels look like and what you can expect versus a normal lit up view. And then we'll do the same thing in the outside where we can actually use that, where we can put that spotlight to use and see how far it can reach and what we can see with it. All right, so first we're going to start out with the interior test. This is what this hallway section looks like when everything is all lit up without the use of the flashlight. Just keep in mind that all these things are going to look a little bit different to your eye. The camera is going to catch it different. Your monitor resolution is going to look different. So this is not a one-to-one ratio of exactly what you can expect. It's just to kind of give you an idea. So let's go ahead and turn all the lights off, and then we're going to start cycling through these modes. All right, so the first thing we're going to start with is we are in the spotlight mode, and then once we go through all those, we're going to switch to the floodlight. So the first thing we're going to do is moonlight mode. All right, so as you can see, it's there's enough light to navigate with, which is kind of what that mode's designed for. It doesn't quite reach all the way down to the end of the hallway, but up close you can kind of see where you're going enough to continue navigating. So let's go ahead and cycle through all the other light modes here. All right, so there's low. Now we're able to see all the way to the end of the hall. There's medium. Definitely starting to be plenty bright. If we shine it up at the ceiling, definitely enough light to navigate with. There's high. And turbo. And that is definitely super bright. Definitely earns the name turbo. So let's go ahead and turn that off. We're going to switch over to spotlight. And then go to moonlight. Just barely see. Definitely have a little bit more navigating capabilities when it's in spotlight mode. So we're going to kick it up. There's low. Medium. high. And turbo. And then just for shits and giggles, let's look at the strobe. All right, so next we're gonna go ahead and check out the outside and see what that looks like once it gets dark. All right, so this is what it looks like when it's daytime and it is fully lit up out here. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna leave my tripod sitting in this exact location. Once it hits nighttime, I'm gonna come back out and we're gonna do the same thing that we did with the inside test with the light and see what it looks like at nighttime when it's fully dark out here. All right, we're back. It's nighttime. As you can see, it's pretty dark out here. So we're just gonna go ahead and cycle through the modes again. So right now I do still have it in spotlight mode. So the first thing we're gonna do is moonlight. You may or may not be able to actually see anything on the camera. I can see it here in person, but through the viewfinder I'm not really seeing a whole lot. Again, the camera detecting what your eyes is gonna see is completely different. So let's cycle to low. And there's one of my dogs again. There's both of my dogs as you saw them earlier. They're helping to keep the consistency here. All right, so that's low. We got medium. High. Turbo. All right, let's switch over to floodlight mode. We're gonna go back to moonlight again, which it's again 1 lumen, so probably not really gonna see a whole lot here. So let's move on to low. Medium. Since we have a lot less projection with that spotlight, you're probably not gonna see a whole lot other than the ground and things that are close. Go to high. And turbo. All right, so as you can see, they advertise this thing as the monster in your pocket, and I would say that maybe kind of a good title for it. It's very bright, it's small, tiny, definitely fits in your pocket or clips on your gear somewhere. It's very light, easy to forget that it's even there, but the brightness settings on this thing are crazy, as you can see. They light up rooms and the outdoors really well, and I would definitely recommend this as a good rechargeable battery flashlight. It does use USB-C, no weird proprietary or outdated USB mini A connectors or whatever the hell they're called. So you should have a USB-C cable lying around somewhere, and it'll work great to help you get charged back up without having to carry around a bunch of extra useless crap. In my opinion, like I said, not just because it was given to me for free, I am actually going to continue to use this and keep this with me. It's very handy, like I said. Easy to put out of the way, clip onto something, and then it's just there if you need it. Probably not going to use many of those RGB features and functions. Like I said, I will just leave it on that red mode and activate it when I need to at night, so I'm not killing my night vision. But I would definitely recommend you pick one of these up. At the time of me doing this review, it's not actually available yet. It will be available soon. You should be able to get your hands on it on Amazon. It should be somewhere in the ballpark of about $20, which I feel is very fair for this thing and what you're actually getting out of it. The fact that it's not completely waterproof does make me a little sad. It is drop proof, and being as small as it is, there's quite a high likelihood that y'all or myself are probably going to end up dropping this thing or knocking it somewhere, and it should still continue to work as long as it's not falling from an excessive height. It is only advertised as 1.5 meters, so we'll continue to use this. We'll see how the battery holds up over time and the light functions and the finish on it lasts. And maybe I'll do a year later review once it's come around that time, and we'll see how this thing is functioning. If you guys have any questions, please feel free to ask down below in the comments. I'll be glad to get back to you as soon as I can. If I can't answer it in text form, I'll be glad to make a second video or short follow-up to answer your question. Like I said at the beginning, there should be a link down below if you are interested in purchasing one of these. So anyway, with that, I'll stop taking up your time. Hopefully you found this video useful. Thanks for watching, and we'll catch you in the next video.